football and other F words. It's me, Zach Lyons, here, host of Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons. Monday through Friday, 1 through 3 p.m. here, Central Standard Time, God's time.
It is the best
on 105 The Zone. We got Stoney Keeley, as you can hear him across the way. Stoney Keeley at Sobros Network. No, what? At Stoney Keeley on Twitter, SobrosNetwork.com, Hot Read Podcast, and of course, StackingTheInbox.com with the draft guide coming out soon, so make sure that you are there for that. People have already poured in the chat. People have poured in the chat saying they missed us last week. We are the only glimmer of hope that they have in their miserable lives, and we let them down.
Well, are their lives miserable, or is it just miserable being a Titans fan?
It's both.
Okay.
So we got Jay Wills behind the glass over here. Jackson.
Wills.
Jay Wills.
What up,
how you
boys?
doing?
You guys is tired of shit as I am from last night's storms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we got Jay Wills behind us in the glass. So we got Coach Wills saying happy Friday, fellas.
Shout out Coach Wills.
And happy Friday to those that celebrate on a Thursday.
TGIF, Thirsty Thursday, Friday, it's all the same thing.
He could be in Japan. You don't know.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't know and I don't care. So here's the question on everybody's mind as we go into this draft season.
Okay.
Would you rather have finger-sized nipples or nipple-sized fingers? I'll start with you, Stoney.
Oh, it's so easy. I don't even have to think twice about it. I'm doing the finger-sized nipples. If you had nipple-sized fingers, you couldn't pick anything up. You couldn't use your hands anymore.
That is true because we got clarification. This is, of course, from Adam at Xander Mercury on Twitter, and I go, what role does the areola play?
Yeah.
And he goes, none. Strictly talking about the nipple, areola would stay the same. And it goes, is the finger the thickness of the nipple, but same length as a finger, or are we talking about nubs? And he goes, you got nubs. Instead of fingers, imagine just tiny little nipples on your hands.
Yeah.
Or your nipples are the same exact length and width as your middle finger. So we had to go middle finger here on the nipples. So, Jackson, do you want droopy middle finger nipples, or do you want little nipple nub hands?
I'm going to go with finger nipples.
All right. I think finger nipples is pretty easy, right?
It is, yeah.
I mean, if you had to factor in the areola, maybe there's a discussion.
I also feel like there could be some sort of stipulation, like if your nipples are already pretty sensitive. So like if they were longer, just imagine like playing with them, and
you're going to be walking around in like cold weather looking like 1980s, early 90s Madonna.
That's okay. She was an icon. She was an
icon.
icon.
I mean, you got to get you have to get a bra at that point, right?
Somebody's going to try to hug you and poke an eye out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why are they burying their head in my chest anyway? We're not talking about...
I don't know about you, but I always motorboat people when I go to hug them. Yeah.
Well, you force them to motorboat you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there could be some benefits to having long nipples.
Yeah.
So
this is important stuff. I would bet that there is a question floating out there similar to this has been asked to a draft prospect.
Probably
at the combine visits or something, because there's always some weird question out there like that. But here is my question to you. I asked this to Blaine the other day.
Okay,
are there too many draft analysts?
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit at the bar, and I do think that it has become a bit saturated, and I think we've kind of lost the point of all this. I don't know how deep into the weeds you want to get on this topic.
I want to get deep into the weeds because, I mean, we just blew our load over the nipple question. That's the bulk of our show was going to be the nipple question. So we got to stretch this out.
Now we're done. Yeah.
That was it.
So I think my issue with the volume of draft analysts, and yes, I'm self-aware. I realize that I cover the draft for Stacking the Inbox. I'm technically a part of the problem here as we're laying it out.
Well, let's.
You're calling timeout on me.
Well, here's the reason why I want to call a timeout on that is because, yes, we are part of the saturation problem, but we're not part of the content quality problem.
Yeah. So my biggest issue, like I laid it out to you over a gallon of beer, is that people
and tornado warnings all
and
around.
tornado warnings. We thought we were going to have to hunker down in the kitchen of the Mexican restaurant. It, to me, feels like there aren't enough people that acknowledge the nuance of the process to say information has changed from January to April. Therefore, this is altering our coverage of it. I don't think there are enough people that say, well, in this particular system, this player could be a good prospect if he lands here. With this competition, he could be a bust. There really is a lot of gray area when you're talking about the draft. But I feel like there are a lot of draft analysts that get into the game these days that don't really – the intention is not to dive deep into the draft class, to learn more about the prospects, to learn more about the sport of football in general, but it is to create content. And when we talk about it in terms of a pure content standpoint, there are people out there that are just like, well, this guy's a bust no matter what. They speak in absolutes. And to me, that does damage to the community, because when you talk to like the average football fan, you're speaking a different language if you start getting into like, oh, well, this linebacker is really good in the hook wall situation with the tight end running up the seam. Like, you start speaking a different language. They just kind of want to know who's good and who's bad.
Right.
And they look to the people, they end up looking to the people that are willing to speak in the absolutes. And that's a problem. And I think that's also part of what creates mistrust among football fans that say, well, this guy's wrong, this guy stinks. Like, draft analysts, just nobody knows what they're talking about. I think that contributes to a big portion of the problem.
Yeah, I think Drew here in the chat gets it right. The problem is the number of draft analysts who don't actually do the job.
Yes.
And he's right, and he's sort of wrong, but I do agree largely with the point is that, to me, way too many analysts, quote unquote, that haven't watched a second of tape in their lives. To me, I look at it as the ESPN NFL media machine combined, right?
Yeah.
It's a 24/7 news cycle. So you have to have a draft take on standby, ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Before the college football playoffs have even started. And I'm talking even the old ones, right?
Yeah.
You have to have them ready. You have to have ones for next year. Like, remember when everybody was talking about Spencer Rattler? I bring this up all the time because I just remember so distinctly when I was on 440 Sports and we're sitting there, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Farley, the night of the draft. Round one. And then Braden's like, well, Spencer Rattler next year. And I'm like,
oh, dude, yeah. I mean,
but
Sam
like,
Howell next
everybody
year.
does it. Like, everybody is next year. And then, like, and I'm looking at it and I go, being kind of behind the media machine, you realize, and I kind of realized this doing the podcast, that a lot of people just don't have the time to get to the tape.
Yeah.
But they are paid and mandated to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And the problem is that I don't think the NFL draft machine understands that there are so many tiny cogs powering it and not enough fuel.
Yeah, sure.
And I look at it and I go, it's the people. There was a guy that tagged a bunch of people that seemed to have changed their mind on Cam Ward. And nobody changed their mind on Cam Ward versus Shooter Sanders. But there's also the catching up to what the NFL team think too. Like, if you're a draft analyst covering a specific team, like we are for the most part, is, okay, we both still like Shooter Sanders and QB1.
To this day.
It does not fucking matter that we do.
Yeah.
At this stage in the game, it doesn't fucking matter that we do.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't matter that we do, we have to talk about Cam Ward, which is fine. We both like Cam Ward, but we don't like him as much as Shedeur Sanders. But that also doesn't mean that the team views him in the same way.
Right.
If the team viewed Shedeur Sanders QB1, he'd be the pick.
Which I think also speaks to the gray area of a lot of draft content that there aren't a lot of people that are willing to go into, is that, they have access to the quarterbacks. When we did our Cam Ward, our Shedeur Sanders episodes, we both kind of talked about there are things on tape that concern you, and you've got to get into the meeting rooms to figure those things out.
And we don't get and they don't get the benefit of a long-form discussion like that.
Yeah, but they get to have meetings with them to at least ask those questions, and we don't. So where we're still sitting here basing our evaluations on tape and on stats and analytics and that sort of thing, they're getting a feel for who they like more, which is in and of itself a subjective practice.
Right.
So the whole thing is subjective. It's all a gray area, and it kind of probably makes for boring podcasting and boring television.
I don't know. I think we're pretty excited. We get B+, B- from Jay Wills.
I think we're good, but I also consume the type of content that we create. I like people that are willing to get into the weeds about stuff and aren't just screaming for the sake of screaming.
Drew says quality draft content isn't successful, and I agree.
Yeah.
Empty first take content is. That's totally true.
That's the world
and
we live
maybe
in.
it's not the number, because I don't want to discourage any up-and-coming draft analysts, because obviously we've been able to find success being those up-and-coming draft analysts.
Yeah.
I look at it this way, too.
That's because we got jokes.
Well, yeah. I mean, we opened up the whole show talking about nipple-sized fingers.
Todd McShay doing
Wait a
that.
minute. Finger-sized nipples. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up Todd McShay, because this is kind of what got me down this path the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Todd McShay loves Matthew Golden. Good for him. Don't necessarily agree,
but he's
good for him.
Good receiver.
And he put out a tweet with a series of video clips where he explains what he's talking about in the video clip, but in the caption of the tweet, he talks about nobody in this draft class moves like Matthew Golden. And he talks about Matthew Golden in a previous series that he's somewhere in between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Okay. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But then people get into the quote tweets, and I'm going to call some names out. Marcus Mosher, Jetpack Galileo. And they focus on one thing in the video, don't fully watch the video, don't listen to it. They said, old head wrong, old man, caveman, they don't know ball.
Mm.
And if you actually just first off watch the film, because I think it was Jetpack Galileo, are we all ignoring the guy who ran the same route at the top of the screen? Well, Matthew Golden, in the same amount of time they ran these deep curls, in the same amount of time, Matthew Golden, by the time they both turn around for the curls, Matthew Golden is like 10 yards deeper down the field than Isaiah Bond is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know why? Because he doesn't waste movement. He doesn't have the TikTok moves. That is what Todd McShay is talking about. But these new people who became these, I guess, figures in draft media for their, oh, wow, we're edgy, we're rebels because we talk down to the old heads, we're bucking the system. Yeah, but you guys are fucking wrong.
I was about to say,
don't you guys realize that you're wrong?
You still have to be right. Like, there still has to be some sort of merit to your analysis.
Right. And so, to me, I look at it and go, I can understand, listen, Todd McShay hasn't been right a lot of the time. Hell, Mel Kiper hasn't.
That's the secret to draft media, though. Nobody's
right.
Yeah.
It's very few people are accurate every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's those that are willing to accept mistakes and listen, I think, that benefit the most. And it seems like some of these people, these accounts that have been given credence to because they are bucking the system. I'm Jetpack Galileo. I don't have my face on my avatar, or I don't do this. And I think a lot of this stuff is good.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I see him just talk, and I'm like, dude, do you even know? it's just one of those things. Like, and I'm sure there are people that see my analysis or your analysis and say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, do you even know football?
Mm-hmm.
But like at the same time, it seems like, and Eddie hits it.
Shout out, Eddie.
Eddie says in chat, I feel like y'all are getting a lot of the fantasy guys in your Twitter feed. He's 100% true.
Yeah.
And I blame JT and Easton,
It's
to be
their
honest
fault.
with you.
Yeah.
It's their fault.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
These young kids, these youngins these days in their fantasy football.
I mean, like, I know that jetpack means well, according to Joe Blacko, but like for me, it's just.
But no, I don't think it's. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's not an attack on Jetpack Galileo. It's just an indication of this is where draft media as a whole is about. And I feel like there is a lot of this sort of gamesmanship to one up one another. There's
or
competition.
to bash an old head to make your take look better.
Yeah.
Or to bash anybody to be honest with you, to make your take look better.
And that's not about the spirit of what the draft is, and it's finding the next wave of talent.
Yeah.
And that's
someone just said something real quick, and he said, Nathan A. Manning says, I bet you think Golden is better than Worthy. Yeah, I mean, like, we're not Golden supporters or anything. We're just saying, watch the tape. Like, in that particular clip, that everybody's making fun of McShay for, they're all fucking wrong. Doesn't mean that McShay is right.
Yeah.
I would not have Golden as my wide receiver one behind Travis Hunter.
No.
I would have Luther Burden.
Yeah, I would too. I've got Ibuka above Golden too.
Yeah, I would too. So, like, it's not that. It's just that, to me, it's that you have to actually, instead of just reading the tweet, watch the full clip, see the explanations, but also if you're not looking for the wasted movement part of a wide receiver in particular, why are you doing it? And old heads get it wrong too, because Joe Blacko right here in the chat puts it up right here. First off, we know Mel Kiper got the whole 2022 draft class wrong. He got Will Levis wrong.
Will Levis,
but Joe Blacko says old head said Lamar was a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I'm going to be honest here. Like, Joe Blacko's right. And old heads get it wrong. My thing is, why do we have to be so combative?
Well, that's
and
the point.
Why do we have to turn our ears and our eyes off so we can get a take across?
It's not just a conversation. That's the point. It's not a conversation about a prospect. It's an I'm right, you're wrong situation. And I don't think that benefits the fans because that's not about the draft. It's not about the prospect. That's
not what teams do, right?
It's not what teams do. Yeah, and
they have full-length conversations.
We're making draft media about us when it shouldn't be. That's my issue with
says, can you retweet the post so we have context? Just go Todd McShay's last Matthew Golden thing, because, I mean, I have to go through a lot to do that. But just go Todd McShay's official Twitter site, ZD.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, no, we're not here saying that Todd McShay isn't being a little facetious when he says that nobody moves like this. But the fact that the examples used by the people QXing him, just petty and wrong.
Yeah,
that to me, it's more wrong than anything. It's about draft media. I've come to find is about big words and talking down to everybody else, and that's just not how it's done. I don't think that's how it's done in the rooms.
I don't think so either.
Because it's going to be like, here's my analysis. Here's the film.
Yeah.
Here's 3 games. Let's all discuss.
Yeah.
And it's like, defend yourself. Okay. What about this? What about this? What about this? And you have a discussion about it. Instead of saying, well, I saw this one clip. Old Jabroni Joe over here, Jabroni Joe Film says, well, I see this clip of Luther Burden, and he this Alabama game where they're down 37-0. And this route in the fourth quarter, he didn't really give his all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then so that means that the entire evaluation is thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, this is kind of the long form discussions we can have on this show.
Yeah.
And I can have them on cover too, but you got to have, I think this is the best way to talk about is this, like, with someone that's in the muck, that covers the team, that covers the draft, that writes draft analysis, that does all this. And like, I look at it and I go, it's like the people who echo, you could tell people who echo certain statements.
Yeah.
I think Drew gets one here. Drew's getting like a lot of play in the chat tonight. Big Drake London.
Put Drew on the couch.
Kind of agree. We've called Tatoria McMillan Big Drake London.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to that, but I also like look at the narrative of someone else had a better one than Big Drake London. And I was kind of thinking like Laquan Treadwell and stuff like some big guys that just didn't really do,
Just
like
flat.
Mike Williams, so it's like, Mike Williams, like stuff like that. But here's a big one is the Shamar Stewart conversation.
Yeah.
And you hear one person say something and then it just goes up. So it's like, well, it's Mike Elko's system, the defensive scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what about the other schemes?
Yeah.
It's not just this year that he's had a production issue. It's every fucking year he's had a production issue. So, like, to me, it's like we get these little earworms in our head, and it's really hard. I get it. It is so fucking hard to get a draft earworm out of your head. You have, if you're going to be analyzing draft, you have to really insulate yourself.
Yeah.
So when we build our draft guide, we do a good job of insulating each other from outside noise.
Mm-hmm.
My data, your film watch is how we kind of build it. And I throw in some of my own film watch. Like I'll go through and edit some of your stuff. But like at the end of the day, it's your film watch, my data. We don't really use it to persuade one another.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the data, your film watch, matches up. And if it doesn't, guess what? We still put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care. I'm not going to manipulate the numbers. You're not going to manipulate your film watch to do that. And I think that's so hard in today's society to kind of like filter out the noise.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. That's it? That's it?
It's well said. It's well said. Well, I just, it's difficult because I don't want to come across like we're slamming people. And like you said earlier, don't want to discourage people from digging into the draft because it is fun and it's a great way to learn more about football. It kind of forces you to learn more about football at a
if you
at
want
a deeper
to learn
level. If you want to, yeah.
If you come in thinking that you know everything, you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bigger discussion about certain draft
Coach
media.
Will says you guys are just comfortable with being wrong. I said, well, we're not ever wrong.
Well, we're not ever wrong, but yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm fine being wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong all the time.
Sorry to interrupt you. You're on the roll.
There's the conversation about, well, YouTube highlights aren't film. And it's like, yeah, if I catch a draft analyst that's basing their entire evaluation off of highlights on YouTube, yeah, that's fine. But like, don't talk down to the fan that doesn't want to spend money to subscribe to an all 22 library because those things can be expensive. College football all 22 is not readily accessible to most people,
especially not Canadian all 22.
You get the Bishop's Gators, not alligator, but gator like Gaiter. That tape isn't easy to come by, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a nastiness to it, sort of, from some people that it's like, oh, well, you're just watching YouTube highlights. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, buddy, you're talking to Steve with a 9-to-5 that's just trying to ask his favorite draft creator, is Matthew Golden a good player or not? I watched the highlights and he looks pretty good. What's the hang up? I think you used, I can't remember if it was on the show a few minutes ago or at the bar, the condescending nature of some of this stuff. It just really, really bugs me.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, and I get that, and listen, when I talk about condescension, I get that I have this flair for condescension. But at the end of the day, I'm still taking in your opinion. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But there's other people that just think that their opinion's right no matter what. I mean, like, look at Anthony Richardson, right? Anthony Richardson, I thought, was surefire talent, bazooka, just shoot him up to the sun. You know what? I was wrong, and you know what I've learned from it? I ain't fucking falling for that again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
I'm not falling for a 15-game start guy.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky, Anthony Richardson. I never fell for Mitch Trubisky, but those are your two examples.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
And I think that's what I try to do when I write about a prospect, when you talk about a prospect, when we get on here and we put this thing together. It's like, have that sense of humility that, like, you can be wrong, you can make mistakes. Everybody's wrong. Everybody makes mistakes, but do your best to learn from it and own it. And I think you and I both strive to operate under that premise. And there are people in the space that just refuse to accept the possibility.
And we're not just talking Titan space. We're talking about the space at large. I just want to make sure people know
absolutely. That.
Yeah. Listen, I loved Anthony Richardson because I got drunk off the ceiling.
I did too. And I made excuses. Well, Billy Napier's offense sucked. You can't evaluate him based off that. You have to look at the potential, the ceiling, all that. I fell for it too.
And that's the thing, is that, like, when I make that mistake, I don't overcorrect, because obviously I felt like Anthony Richardson was the exception, but now I'm just done with the exceptions.
Yeah.
We got let's play the data game at that point. That was like, oh, could you imagine Anthony Richardson and Derrick Henry in the same offense? Like, that's what drove it. Like, you're fantasizing about these situations that may never matter, because guess what? Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor are in the same offense, and they're either of them are barely healthy.
And I think there's a part of it too, is like, just, it's human nature. You find things you like and you latch onto those things.
Right.
And it's being cognizant of that and being careful of it moving forward that makes you grow as an analyst.
Okay. How certain we're going through the mailbag now.
Okay.
We're off our old man pedestal.
Yeah, we're shaking our fists at the sky right now.
How certain are we the Titans make a pick at 1? This is from Joe Blacko.
Okay. Joe, I'm pretty certain they're going to make a pick at 1, and I'm pretty certain where we're at right now, it's Cam Ward.
How certain are you?
I
bet $500 on it the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah. JR.
Yeah.
With a guy in the chat. So we'd say Alzheimer's, or he has his own charity, but JR, not the letters JR, but J with a Y and R, has been a big proponent of and believer of Will Levis and all the wonderful Pride the Zone's chats. So he still thinks Will Levis is cream of the crop or whatever. And he said nobody's willing to say that they believe Cam Ward's the pick 100%. And I've said it for like almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I go, I'll do it. I'll say it. What do you want to bet? And he goes, $500, charity of choice. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Going to do it. So $500 to the Alzheimer's Foundation if Cam Ward is the pick at 101. If not, it goes to a charity that he said that I have forgotten. But I do have a screenshot just in case he tries to back out of it.
Yeah. That's good.
So I look at it and I go, my guess is 99.9%. I'm going to leave just always a little bit.
Well, the thing that scares me...
Should I just make it 99%? 99%.
Yeah. The thing that scares me is that there is this, like, storyteller part of my brain that comes back to, well, if I were to write this out in an ideal situation, if you wanted to make it look like you were all in on Cam Ward just to drive the price up only to trade back, this feels like the playbook you would run. This feels like the exact thing you would do to make everybody think you have fallen in love with Cam Ward only to drive that price up and maybe take advantage of a desperate New York Giants team or something like that, for example. That's the only thing that's like nagging at me is like, well, if they wanted to do this, this is exactly what it would look like.
I mean, I text you the other day, and I also talked about it on the show, was like I had this crisis conscious 2 days ago driving home from the show on Tuesday. And I was like, man, I think the Titans are trading back. Like, it just hit me.
But
I'm
it makes sense.
listening to like Limp Bizkit and Lost Prophets. Somehow stumbled back onto the Lost Prophets, which is an old time.
I don't think
write
we're allowed,
it down.
I don't think we're allowed to listen to them anymore.
Are we not? Why? Lost Prophets?
I think the lead singer was doing some bad stuff.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah. I don't want to say it on the air, but I think it's.
Well, fuck.
I think they got canceled.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not. I could be mistaking them with another band.
Oh, fuck.
Do we want to investigate this live on
we
Football
got
and Other
J
F-Words?
Wills. J Wills, can you investigate the Lost Prophets?
It's the lead singer of Lost Prophets.
The Lost Prophets scandal of 2004 when they were popular or whatever it was. Bustin' Diamond says canceled. The lead singer, very, very bad guy.
Yeah,
I had no clue. I mean, I had no clue.
Oh, yeah, he's real bad. Real fucking bad.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Just stick with Limp Bizkit. You can't go wrong with Limp Bizkit.
Who would have thought the Limp Bizkit was the least problematic of the two bands I mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
That's on the internet forever.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Oh, man.
I have no clue what it is. I mean, apparently a lot of people knew about this Lost Prophets thing. Wow. Unspeakable Acts, correct band.
It is like, what was the number Jackson out? Like 35 counts or something
35
like that?
counts of, I assume, sexual assault?
There are things I'm never going to say into a microphone.
Okay, well, there you
Yeah.
go. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, never listen. I'm putting Lost Prophets on the band list.
I'm going to
Holy
text it.
shit.
I'm going to text it to you so that we don't say it over the air.
Yeah, okay. Whoa. Sorry. Did not know. Apparently, I missed the great Lost Prophets scandal, I have to say.
Yeah, he got in trouble.
Wow. That would explain why we haven't seen an album for a while now. I just thought because they sucked.
You missed that one, buddy.
Yeah, I missed that one, buddy. Oh, God. Eddie just told me, and now I'm very fucking upset.
I want to make sure that I actually texted that to you and not to somebody else.
So,
okay, yeah.
Never listen to Lost Prophets ever again.
I'm glad we cleared that up on the show tonight.
So where was I going with it? Oh, yeah. So anyway.
You're having a crisis.
Yeah. I was having a crisis of consciousness, maybe because of Lost Prophets. I just felt like there was a trade. No logic behind it. Just had this feeling that there was going to be a trade back.
Yeah.
So I sent the proposal to you, and I go, I should not have brought this up on the chat because now I'm getting derailed on the chat. Okay, we're done talking about Lost Prophets, chat. So we're talking. I sent text messages like, you got Cam Ward at 101. Would you rather have Cam Ward at 101? And Jackson, J. Wills, you can weigh in on this. Would you rather have Cam Ward at 101 or Shadur Sanders, 103, plus a first-round pick next year, first-round pick in 2027, and a second-round pick this year?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's not that bad.
I mean, personally, with my evaluation of the quarterbacks, I'm doing cartwheels to land Shadur Sanders and still get extra first-round picks is where I'm at. But we've established earlier our feelings about Shadur Sanders and Cam Ward differ from what the Titans feel. So if they clearly feel like
allegedly,
if they clearly feel like Cam Ward is the guy, that he's going to hit his ceiling and he's going to be everything that his biggest fans say he's going to be, then I get it. But that's a haul, man. That's a haul. And to still get a good quarterback.
Right. Jay Wills.
I feel like I've fully bought in on Cam Ward.
You're just too far gone. You are Cam-pilled.
Yep.
All right. Hey, I respect it. But at the end of the day, it just like goes in that situation where how certain are we at the Titans making a pick of one? I brought myself back into it, and I said, it's still Cam Ward at 1. There's just no, and in fact, we talked about in Cover 2 on Thursday's show, today's show, was like, okay, we know it's Cam Ward at 1. Let's move on the narrative.
There's no use talking.
It's taking a progression forward. So I am 99%, 99.9%. You are?
I'm going to say I'm still 95%.
Jay Wills?
He fell asleep.
Oh, he
100.
100. Okay. So today, this comes from Canadian Titan. I don't know if you've seen it yet. The single most important Naked Gun movie since the other Naked Gun movies has arrived.
Okay.
Trailer with Liam Neeson as the fuck.
I haven't seen the movies.
You haven't seen any of them? Any of the Liam. Have you seen Dracula Dead and Loving It?
No. I'll watch it if you want me to.
Well, I mean, why haven't you already? They're legendary. Have you watched
this.
Airplane?
No. I haven't. I didn't start watching movies until I was 15 years old, like in freshman in high school.
Or were you fucking Mowgli raised by wolves?
Yeah, pretty much. I just go out in the woods all day until then. I play on my bike and, throw sticks at shit. What all country kids do.
It's not Frank Durst. It's Frank Durbin. So Canadian Titan posts the trailer up, and of course it's Liam Neeson in the Frank Durbin role. Which is the role made famous by Liam Neeson, by the way. Which, by the way, if you've never seen the clips of Liam Neeson doing those rounds of like movie interviews where he's sitting in a chair, he brings a fart machine with him. And then he'll let out a fart during the movie. And then just like in the interview, and he just is very deadpan about it and just talks right through the fart noise.
That's good humor.
It's good. It's great humor.
Good comedy.
But I will say this. I am all in. I think that's going to be very good. And
I'll watch it. Yeah.
Well, O.J. Simpson was in it too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Stoney was churning butter as youth. What is this may be a dangerous question to ask you after some off-air stuff that happened last week or 2 weeks ago. What is your opinion on the torpedo bats being used in the MLB?
I don't know what any
Those
of that
are beer
fucking
things,
means.
right? Is that right? You're a baseball enthusiast, Jay Wills. The torpedo bats are beer-filled bats?
No, those are just beer-filled bats. Torpedo bats just have a longer, or like the bat can be a certain level of thickness, but normally bats are like, like they get.
I'm already bored, just like baseball.
Yeah,
Thank
Jackson, you can handle this question because I don't know shit about
we're
baseball.
we're not even gonna answer it because that question never should have been asked. I thought it was about beer, or I would have just skipped right over it. Sorry, D Good.
There is beer bats.
This is from D Good 207-5288732.
How many Twitter accounts is Goody on at this point?
I don't know.
Oh, Goody?
Yeah.
Goody said the F word on Buck Show one time.
He did.
No, did he?
It was great. It was one of the all-time moments. Hey, Goody, how you doing, bud?
I think I just outed him. I don't think he wanted people to know he was Goody, but I figured it out in a YouTube chat one day and called him. And he was just like, damn it, Stoney.
This chat is why we can't have it on the TV screen.
Why? But
yeah, I mean, we got some stuff going on in this chat that is not. Okay.
You brought up that lead singer. This is your fault.
No, but some of this is not related to the Lost Prophets guy.
I love the chat. Keep it going. I can't watch it tonight because my phone's at 30%, and I got to be sure my wife knows when to come pick me up. But
Timothy Hernandez says on Twitter, what is the proper tip amount to give? And he put tip in capital letters, so I'm assume he means to servers.
Oh, I didn't. Oh,
what else?
Not
would he
what
mean?
you were thinking.
Different tip. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
not what you were thinking.
I go 20%.
Do you go 20% no matter what?
20%. If I really like you, I'll do more. If you suck, I'll do a little bit less. But I'm pretty generous.
I'm sure you do. What about you, Jay Wills?
Ask the question one more time.
What is the proper tip amount to give?
Oh, I like 20, but honestly, I throw in like what seems like 20% and then round up because I hate like, so like, let's say 20% is like $5.28. I'm going to get my bill to an even number.
I'm the same way.
So
Yeah.
Same way.
you all play with the cents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See,
I'll
I
pull out
don't.
my phone calculator at a restaurant.
So here's what I would rather do if, let's say, the tip, or it's, let's say it's $29. I just go to $6 on the tip.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess that's not really the right example to use now to do my math. But you get what I'm saying.
I get what
Like,
you're saying,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would rather round up
Yeah.
than have to fool with the cents.
Okay.
What do you?
To each his
Oh,
own.
like you round up for like the charity or
Yeah,
whatever.
I just would rather have it be like, I want my tip to be $6, not $6.13.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
To make it to an even number at the very end. It's easier to do the math.
You want the tip to be
Yeah.
even. Doesn't matter about the total.
Doesn't matter about
we're-
total.
we're in
Because
the
my
camp,
my
like,
whole number in the front
Yeah.
is going to be what's the easiest to do it.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Right.
Stokely says if Stoney's really excited, he might get 30% tip. Okay, let's go to Brian Nakashima, who says, give your best shot at a Titans mock draft, but instead of a player at the pick, just do your best at what they'll do for the position at the particular pick.
Okay.
So quarterback number 1,
Yep.
edge number 2.
Yep.
I'm going to go weird. I'm going weird in the 4th round.
Don't take my picks.
2
Go.
wide receivers.
Okay. I'm going wide receiver and O-line.
Okay,
the
so
4th
you're
round.
going wide receiver online. So we're in the 5th round. I'm going back to wide receiver, and I'm going running back.
I'm going wide receiver, running back in the 5th round.
And so I just want people to know I'm going 3
Yeah, that's a take.
wide receivers
3 wide receivers drafted.
because I think they want to revamp this whole wide receiver room.
Yeah.
I'm going to go then tight end and offensive lineman in the last round. I think they're only going to go edge as the only defense.
I think they're going to take a corner. That's going to be a surprise pick in this draft. What do they have? 2-6? Is that where we're at now?
Yeah, 2-6.
Yeah, 2-6. I'm going to go corner, and then I'm going to go tight end.
Chosen 522 has asked us numerous times, but he's misspelled my name both times, and it's literally on the freaking screen. ZACH, for those that do not know how to spell. Zach, he says,
Can you say it?
sorry, Bert texted us during this whole thing, and
I
it's,
saw that.
it's fucking derailed me.
I saw
Okay.
that earlier.
So
Yeah.
Chosen has said, Zach, is there any chance the Ward pick is all smoke? No, there's not.
No.
It does not matter. A lot of fans feel like Shedeur should be the pick. Like, that's why we're fans.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, like, I can be wrong. They could be wrong. I would tell you who is not going to be wrong is the new podcast, Burton for Squirtin'.
You said it. You said it.
What can I say it?
I love Bert. Shout out Bert. One of my favorite humans on the planet.
But anyway, and now we got people misspelling my name on purpose, which
Say
I'm
that
used
name
to.
Say that name again, Zach.
Zach?
No, the name of the podcast.
Well, hold on. Dude, let's provide content.
No, well,
Or
I don't know what the
context.
context is. I haven't clicked the other part of the message.
I posted a tweet that was a picture of this studio when we got here, and I said, "What is this room lit for?" And Bert sent it to us in a text message and said, "Sorry, you guys had to follow my new pod, Burton for a Squirtin'. Looks like they cleaned up well, though."
Yeah. There you go. Well, you took it one step further. There you go. Did you get what you needed, Jackson?
Yeah, is that what you
more
wanted,
than
Jackson?
more than enough, fellas.
Thank you, Jay
Bravo.
Wells.
You're both gonna get an incomplete today.
Oh, come on. This is an A+ show.
Tonight's show is not helping us on Reddit, where they say we go off the rails.
No, yeah. Fucking
Neither will the
Reddit.
meeting with HR tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not an employee here, so
Does
y'all have fun.
so my question is on all of this, does Burton for a Squirtin' open up for us before we open up for the install?
I just hope,
but
like-
it's just the coworkers setting up, and then there's Bert on stage by himself.
I just hope they bring plenty of tarps. All right, what's the next question?
Okay.
Gonna lose that deposit.
Okay. This is from Ben Padigo. Several talking heads and analysts have stated that Ward's weaknesses, or warts, this is definitely a shot at blame, by the way, are the same as Will Levis's. Interested to know how so. I'd love a Stoney Keeley deep dive into how similar or different they really are on tape.
Yeah, I think so. From a mental makeup standpoint, they feel like they're worlds apart, right? I mean, you feel like Cam Ward is the confident killer. I think Will Levis really seemed to struggle with confidence this past season. So I think that is kind of the thing that differentiates the two. I'm not looking in the chat.
Joe Blacko just sent me.
I think so. The way I have framed it, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking to earlier, it's a very nuanced conversation. And I think sometimes in the heat of the moment, maybe we don't express things the way we really mean them to, because I feel like I'm a culprit of this early on in the process where, I said the problem with Cam Ward, what concerns me is that you're probably dealing with the same problems that you dealt with Will Levis. It is not to say that they are similar prospects. It is to say the bottom line problem with each quarterback, to me, is the turnovers and the recklessness with the football. The difference between the two is you feel like you watch Will Levis, right? And I think you and I have agreed on this. It feels like he doesn't have a feel for the game. Sometimes it feels like he's operating a half a second behind everybody else on the field. I don't know what you can do about that, but it yields the results that it yields. Turnovers, bad decisions, losing football games. With Cam Ward, I feel like you have to deal with the turnovers, with the decision-making, that sort of thing. But the impression that I get, and my voice just cracked because I'm still a teenager going through puberty, the difference with Cam Ward is that it feels like he's more of, I don't question the feel for the game, right? It's more of he's just going to force the throw to try and make a play.
Yeah.
And you've seen quarterbacks like that succeed in the NFL under the premise that, yeah, it's like Josh Allen. Like, yeah, you're going to make a boneheaded play once in every game, but then you're going to make 3 big-time throws, 3 touchdown throws that make up for it. And so the parallels between the two quarterbacks is not to necessarily compare them stylistically, to compare them technique-wise, from the neck up, any of that. It is just the bottom line issue to say recklessness and turnovers and decision-making could be the same problem that you have with either quarterback. Did I explain that well enough?
I think you did. And that's where we needed it from there, because to me, it's like first off, Ben Pedigo did not ask for my opinion, just your opinion.
What is your opinion? I'm asking for your opinion.
Well, here's my opinion, is that I didn't listen to anything you just said, because all I'm thinking about is Joe Blacko's comment saying that Bert needs a new Bible. It is sent me. It is, there is a scene in, is it Sisters with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler? It's not a very good comedy, but me and Lauren saw it in theaters, and there's a scene where Bobby Moynihan snorts coke, and he comes in behind the scene in the background and just screams in the background. It sent me so hard. I had to leave the theater because I could not quit fucking laughing.
I love that. I love when that happens.
Yeah, but like that Joe Blacko comment really got me. That Bert needs a new Bible.
Joe Blacko's A+ in the chat. A+ comments.
Okay.
Consistently brings it.
Okay. David at Zeke Titan 89 asks, top 4 tight ends in this draft, best fit and value add for the Titans.
Okay, so
I think there's only here's the thing about this question. I think it takes us to a different question. This tight end class kind of sucks.
And I feel like, man, we went to the Senior Bowl and everybody came back saying, wow, I think this tight end group is a little deeper than we initially thought. Maybe it's a little underrated. But then you go back to the tape study and you're like, no, I think we had it right to begin with. I think it's important perspective to remember at the Senior Bowl, the drills, the one-on-ones that we see all week long favor the people moving forward. They don't favor the people that are having to move backwards on a play. I forget who laid it out like that, but somebody did very smartly. And so I think it's easy when you're talking about tight ends going up against linebackers and nickel corners and safeties and stuff like that, the tight ends are probably going to look pretty good. And I feel like maybe we drank a bit too much of that Kool-Aid, because I go back to the tape and I do kind of think it's a class where if you have a very specific need, if you happen to be a team that needs like a traditional Y blocking tight end, you can find that guy on day 3. If you need a receiving threat, you can probably find that guy on day 3. But we're talking about role players and not difference makers. And I think that's where things kind of shifted for me when I dug back into the tape after the Senior Bowl. Was kind of like, I feel like this is a class that has some value in specialist roles, but there's not, outside of Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. For me, I think those two guys could be studs in the right situation. Outside of that, I'm like, I don't know. And I like Arroyo a lot too, but the injuries and stuff kind of concern me.
It is an affront to human nature the way that Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland have been used and employed by their offense. From when you start looking at the data, you're like, these guys suck. If you looked at the data, but when you look at the tape, it's like these dudes are awesome. Their offensive system sucks, and I think that's how the tight end position is just going to start looking.
Yeah,
like it's gonna be I think tight end is gonna be one of the more difficult positions to evaluate over the coming years
because of how the college game has evolved. And I equate it to, like, if on the surface, like, you don't think the fullback's a really important position, but then when you watch the tape, you realize, like, Kyle Juszczyk is pretty damn important to the San Francisco 49ers. I felt the same way about Tyler Warren. On the surface, doesn't look that impressive, but when you watch the tape, you realize, holy shit, this entire offense is running through this tight end.
Top three favorite comedies.
Dumb and Dumber, Anchorman, and Old School.
Beer Fest, Ace Ventura, The Mask.
Okay.
What are your coaching prospects? What are coaching prospects you're looking at this upcoming year for when Brian Callahan gets sacked?
This
comes from Eddie. Ben Johnson's already at it.
Oh, my.
Cliff Kingsbury would be a name. I'm going Joe Brady, though.
I like Cliff Kingsbury a lot. I think Cliff Kingsbury's pretty underrated. Yeah, I don't know, Eddie. I'm not paying attention to coaching prospects right now.
What's your draft surprise guess? Biggest move that is unexpected at this point, realistic, and this comes from Eddie as well.
I don't know if I've said this out loud yet.
Say it.
I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think Tet McMillan goes night 1.
Tyler Kitts that's a good one. I don't mean to overshadow that, but Tyler Kitts really nailed one.
Well, I can't. I'm
the Nice Guys should have been a comedy like that. I mean, is that pure comedy?
I wouldn't consider it a pure comedy, but I like that. That's a 5 out of 5 movie for me.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're both big Nice Guys fan.
We need a sequel.
Tet McMillan drops out of the first round.
I think 4 wide receivers go before him. I think. I'm not buying the Burden slide. He may not be the second. He may not be a top 10 receiver, but I think he goes night 1. I think from what we've heard, coaches, personnel people love Emeka Egbuka, and I love him too. Great tape. Tested surprisingly well. I don't think he's a guy that looks very fast on tape, like terms of straight line speed.
That's a tough one.
But he's got some
juice. But that's
juice.
Good for the Titans if he does fall, by the way.
Yeah.
Not for them to take him at 35. But for them to have trade-up prospects, but also have other wide receivers to fall. And I think at this point, here's one I got for you. Okay. And I think at this point, it feels like it is a hot take. It feels like it's a hot take to say that Kyle Williams will go round 4.
It does feel like a hot take. The hype has kind of gotten...
And I think he does. I think he goes round 4, and it's not because of his talent or his tape. It's because I think that what you're going to see on day 2 of the draft is a copycat league.
Yeah.
We just saw how the Philadelphia Eagles won.
Mm-hmm.
They won defensively through the trenches, defensively on the edges, offensively through the trenches, the entire offensive line. This is a strong defensive line class, and I think that with this strong defensive line class, this strong edge class, and the lack of talent in the offensive line class, I think that's all going to push people down that you did not expect at positions like wide receiver and running back.
I feel like it's a pretty bloated class of wide receivers beyond that upper tier of guys. And so you figure the potential is high for one of these guys to at least fall on into the 4th round.
So
that's a good one.
Jeremy Horton at Little Hootie says, you mentioned New Comic Day on Cover 2 a few weeks ago, talking to me. What's your pull list today? Or yesterday, it was West Coast Avengers, Miles Morales Spider-Man, The Absolute Green Lantern, Secret Six, X-Men, Moon Knight, All New Venom was from this week. I don't think I missed the new Ninja Turtle series that I've been following as well. But that was my pull list for this week.
I don't have
What's a pull list?
A pull list is, well, technically it would be something that you would just walk in and they would have already pulled all the comic books from you.
Yeah.
For you.
It's like you go into the comic book shop and say, I want this every month.
Week, every month.
Yeah.
But that is just from this week. I mean, I would not have the amount of time to have to. I read like 10 comic books every week. TK Bull, TK on Twitter, but T-Bull22 says, Stoney tweet earlier about how funny it would be if Mario Kart tweet was his last ever.
Yeah. Did you miss that?
Yeah, I missed that.
So I tweeted, Lyft drivers these days are out here driving I-40 like it's Mario Kart. Bro, this ain't Rainbow Road. And then I thought about it and was like, man, what if I died and this was the last tweet you ever saw from me? That's what he's talking to.
Okay, he goes, would you rather go silently into the night in your bed asleep?
Yeah.
Or would you rather die in a funny or extravagant way that all your loved ones could look back at and laugh?
Funny.
I'm going to go dying peacefully in my sleep. I don't want to cause anybody any trauma, you know? Are they seeing me die in this funny fashion?
Well, no, he doesn't say that. You just
Okay.
die in a funny and extravagant way.
I joke about falling off a building a lot.
You die of suffocation because too many dachshunds cuddled with you.
Yeah.
And you suffocated.
Yeah. I'm still going to go peacefully in my sleep.
Yeah, I'm going funny and extravagant way. In fact, I want to be lowered into my coffin by strings with techno music blaring.
Okay. Yeah.
And my wife goes, how do you, what do you want your funeral? Like, just, cremate me.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, where do you want your ashes spread? I go, I don't know, fucking Lauren. Like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
You could spread them in a fucking garbage dumpster and it'd be the same as spreading them on the 50-yard line of Nissan Stadium. I'm not going to know. I'm dead.
Yeah. That's
do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about
Whatever
it.
makes you feel better.
Yeah.
What is the breast? This is from Kenneth.
Who's
Kenneth,
breast?
Kenneth. What is the best strategy for pick 35? Weapons for Cam, best edge rusher, trade down, or best player available? Where do you go?
Depends on the edge that's there. If the right edge is there, I'm not going to reach for anybody, but like if Donovan Ezeraku falls, I'm taking him. Otherwise, yeah, you know what? I would explore the trade back and try to stack some picks. I think wide receiver and tight end, I think you can find guys on day 3 that can contribute, but they need a premier edge rusher, and I think as loaded and thick as this class is, I think you can still get that guy at 35.
Yeah, I'm going at, I think logically, unless it's Burden or Ibuka,
yeah,
the best player available is also going to be the best edge rusher. And so that coincides with it for me, but I would still entertain a trade down.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is one for everybody. We're going to start with you, Jay Wills, behind the glass. What is the best style of pizza and toppings with it? So best style of pizza and the toppings you have to have on that style of pizza.
New York style meat lovers.
Okay. Stoney.
I'm supreme, but I also love a good, simple pepperoni and jalapeno only.
Okay. So you did not pay attention to the question.
No, I did not.
What is the best style of pizza and toppings with that style of pizza?
What, you mean like Chicago, Detroit, all that? I don't know, man. It's all the same. Is that a hot take? All pizza's the same? It doesn't matter how you prepare it? I know people say Chicago is lasagna. But
Yeah, well, it means a casserole.
I'm just gonna New York style, I guess. I don't know. It's all the same.
I think we're all. I mean, you don't obviously count because you are a fence sitter. But me and Jay Wills, we got it right. It's New York style, and it is. He says meat lovers, but when you go New York style, it kind of weighs heavily.
Yeah,
I like a perfect
that.
fold, so I'm just going classic pepperoni,
Mm-hmm.
New York style pizza.
Yeah, that's what I eat all the time when we go to New Jersey.
This is from Brandon Ewing. How do you foresee Brian Callahan's offense changing next season to better help Cam Ward, or do you expect similar concepts with the hope of Ward being a vast improvement over Levis?
We've talked about it before. You figure like there probably is a few more like RPOs sprinkled in, but I think it's surprising to watch the Miami tape and kind of see Cam Ward spoke to this too about how like some of the route concepts are the same. I don't know if this is a hot take to say or not, but I don't know how much of the offense. I don't think it's going to have to be a drastic overhaul for Cam Ward. I think he's a capable guy.
I agree with you. This comes from Eddie.
Okay.
What position would Bigfoot play? Remember, he's got big feet.
I'm going offensive tackle.
Even with the big feet?
Was he going to be a kicker?
I mean, no. I'm just saying that he could, like, stumble. Do you think he's that nimble?
Maybe a guard. He's too tall to play
I
guard.
have to agree with Eddie. I'm going tight end or edge.
Yeah. Well, there is a Bigfoot that plays tight end. His name's Jackson Halls out of Georgia Tech.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Okay.
This is not really for you. This is for Jay Wills exclusive. This is a Jay Wills exclusive. Are you ready, Jackson?
Oh, I'm terrified.
You should be. Stokely asks, because you've been here longer, so I have to make sure you get this question exclusively you. How many people do you think at the zone wipes standing up?
Jesus Christ.
Is it just, you give a percentage if you want, and is it just Buck?
No, it is not just Buck. I'm going to out a dear friend here.
No.
Joseph Bonanno. He's a stand wiper.
Oh, man.
Happy wedding day, buddy. I'll see you in a couple days.
Happy
Joseph
wedding
just
day.
Getting outed on football and other F words tonight.
There you go. There you go. Evanzes says that they wipe side to side.
I've heard that true alphas don't wipe at all.
You guys wipe?
Yeah. Speaking of true alphas, Jay Will's behind the glass.
I couldn't hear him. My headphones keep cutting out.
What qualities do you look for in a friend that make them eligible to be your best friend? This comes from Lowry, and this is specifically for you, Stoney, because he follows up and he says, give me 1 second. He says, Zach, it is imperative. Fucking misspelled my name. It is imperative that Stoney answers this so I know how to approach the situation when we meet.
Man, I value authenticity. I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I can make friends with anybody, but I think to really connect with somebody, you've got to have that authenticity. I got to trust that I can be myself around you and you can be yourself around me, and we accept each other for what we are. And I think that is kind of the root of the chemistry there.
Joe Blacko, he got really serious with the emotional maturity. Okay, let's calm down.
Yeah. I mean,
we're talking about wiping.
Look up 2 comments above that in the chat.
Yeah,
that is the most disgusting, vile thing.
There's no emotional maturity anywhere in the chat. Drew Beatty, is that how you say Iron City Films last name?
I don't know.
Gosh, it's just like the JT Runk thing.
Well, JT
I'm never going to remember it.
JT said Drew Beatty when he was filling in for me on the Hot Read podcast, but I don't know if JT's right. So
you can't trust JT. He's got a small head. Will you and Stoney be doing crowd work at the install next month? And we've already came up with our outfits.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a fun game. Jay Wills, can you got one guess. What do you think our outfits are going to be?
Tuxedo T-shirts and finger nipple clamps.
Incorrect. You'll have another chance next week. Okay, so we could do crowd work. I mean, it's just making fun of people in the crowd, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people to make fun of in the crowd, so I'm not too worried about that.
There we go.
Justin Graver at Titans Film Room asks a very complicated and long question because he is very verbose.
Did he take it seriously? He took
he took it way too seriously. Okay. When it comes to receivers in this draft, how would you two prioritize the following factors? Pure talent, regardless of role in the offense, slot versus boundary, X versus flanker, ceiling versus floor, familiarity with Cam Ward.
I'm going talent. I'm going role. I'm going, what was
ceiling versus floor and familiarity with Cam Ward.
I'm going ceiling versus floor, and then I'm going familiarity with.
So you put in the exact order that he had.
Yeah.
I'm going pure talent, ceiling versus floor, role in the offense, familiarity.
Okay. Yeah. I hear you.
There you go. Okay, let's see if we've wrapped it up. We have wrapped up all the questions.
That's
Look at that.
Awesome.
We did it. Okay. Other than that, I mean, I think this has been a very successful football and other F-words.
I have too.
One of our best. We've covered a lot of grounds.
Mm-hmm.
We've exposed Joseph as a stand-up wiper.
Poor Joseph.
We promoted the other podcasts on this network, Burton for Squirtin'. We've also exposed this entire Lost Profits scandal. Had no clue that happened.
Just completely.
And I think that's very important to bring that up. We shit on who?
Draft media.
Draft media. Shit on the entire draft media.
We accomplished a lot today.
I would like to clarify for those that have been asking. I've been getting a lot of DMs and stuff asking about and questions in chat. Seth Rollins is a coward. He has not accepted my WrestleMania challenge.
Yeah.
He is him and Roman Reigns are afraid of me and CM Punk. So Seth Rollins is a coward. So I just want to throw that out there. Grade the show.
I'm giving you an A- because you talked about your favorite music, and it happened to be a guy who had some dark things.
Say that was my favorite music. I just happened to be listening.
I thought you said
to Limp Bizkit a lot, and then Lost Profits came in because Spotify. Someone should tell Spotify.
That we
got to get this music off the airwaves.
Yeah.
No more Shinobi versus Dragon Ninja. Got to get that out of here.
You want me to randomly open my notebook and just see what player it falls onto?
Okay. This is Stoney's One More Thing.
Yeah.
And this is him opening up a thick-ass notebook with 3 C's, and we're going to read one prospect profile, whatever he lands on.
Willie Lampkin. What are the odds?
Did you plan that?
No, I really didn't.
Okay, Willie Lampkin.
We can go Jackson Slater's on the other side, yeah.
No, we're going just one. Do you want Jackson Slater or do you want Willie Lampkin?
Willie Lampkin. Here's my first
Where's
note.
he from school?
Willie Lampkin, the right guard from North Carolina. I think he's going to play center at the next level.
How tall is he?
5'10", 280 pounds, like super undersized. My first note on Willie Lampkin, god dang, man, he throws himself all over the field, Cactus Jack.
There you go.
I didn't
is that it?
I mean, I got more notes. I'm not going to read all of these.
TK wants to know, is that Bert's new Bible that you're holding?
It is.
Because Joe Blacko says that Bert needs a new Bible.
The Bible of Willie Lampkin.
All right. StackingTheInbox.com. We're working on the draft guide. We are working at a perilous, furious pace.
I sat for 8 hours straight on Saturday.
Yeah, and 8 hours of those spent on Will Rogers and Venn diagram.
No, hold on.
What's the name of the tackle that you watched tape on?
Valentine Sin.
Venn diagram. And
I wrote the Will Rogers eval
Taylor
2 years
Elgersma.
ago.
This is just the Drake Stoops has just really sent me spiraling that we got to check in a rehab.
Yeah.
We got to maybe get someone like a life coach. We need to get a draft coach. Coach to kind of set your priorities straight. But that's coming down the horizon for StackingTheInbox.com subscribers. And if you're not a StackingTheInbox.com subscriber, as I got cottonmouth throughout this whole episode. You will be able to buy that separately, and all proceeds go to Stoney and JT if you buy that separately. So there you go. A little bit of extra money for you guys.
I haven't been listening.
Okay, there you go.
I'm texting my wife. She can come pick me up
Yeah,
now.
she can come pick you up. So, by the way, in a storm, Stoney gets a lift down. He's such a bad driver, apparently, that his wife would rather let some random Lyft driver who she has no clue whether that person can drive in storms and winds and all that drive you down than you drive yourself.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm gonna head down to the studio tonight, and she just said, please don't. I'll stay late at work, and then I'll come pick you up.
There you go. There you go. So stackingtheinbox.com, SoBrosNetwork.com, Hot Read Podcasts on the 440 Network, and, of course, Football Under Their Efforts. And Ramon Kill and Will every Monday morning, 7:20 a.m.
Yeah.
Unless your cousin Danny, who immediately
Cousin Danny
says,
hates
hey,
me.
I just want you guys to know, cousin Danny, he says, I'm leaving the chat. I'll come back next segment.
Whenever Phony Keeley's gone.
Phony Keeley.
That's what he calls me, Phony Keeley.
Phony Keeley. A- from Jay Wills. Jay Wills, any last words?
Damn,
I
are we
really
gonna
enjoyed
put him
my
down?
time working at 104.5 The Zone, but I think that's coming to an end after this episode.
Last episode.
Yep.
Well, at least you didn't expose any of the big bosses as stand-up wipers. I'm Zach Lyons. You can watch, Cover 2 Monday through Friday with Blaine Bishop, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, of course, we'll be back next week. This is Cover 2. This is Football Under the F Words, and you have just been effed.